My name is Bruce Kornfeld from StorMagic, and we're here with HPE. We've got a lot to talk about today, so let's get started. So StorMagic, we've been around for a little over 15 years now. We started as a virtual SAN company, and we still are. We've always been developing products specifically for the edge. 15 years ago, we didn't call it the edge. It was called Robo or Small Site or SMB, but edge has really come to dominate the market, and we're going to talk about that here in a second because I definitely want your input. But we're all about solving the world's edge data problems. That's what we do. We think about edge first. We're not focused on hyperscalers and massive numbers of nodes. We're not talking about data center. Think about small, anywhere that a customer needs a couple of servers to run applications locally. That's what we do. That's what we focus on. And you'll see that here as we go through. Here's a quick snapshot of some of our customers. We have thousands of customers around the world. We've been doing this a long time. You can see a lot of these are the eye candy ones. So these are the more well-known logos, but we've got lots of other customers as well. The key point here is that our products are used in lots of vertical markets. It's not just a one vertical market solution. We have a lot of our largest customers are in retail because they have a lot of stores typically, but we have customers with dozens, hundreds, and thousands of sites throughout the different vertical markets that we sell into. Feel free to hit me with questions. I won't spend too much time here, but I did want to highlight the fact that we sell through the channel. Any channel partner in our network can sell anywhere around the world. We have some OEM relationships. The biggest and best one that we have, sorry Lenovo, is HPE, where we've been selling with them for 3 or 4 years. The left-hand side's talking a little bit about that relationship that started a few years ago where they were looking for a replacement for their store virtual product, which was similar to what we have. And now we can be sold on HPE servers of any flavor in any country around the world by their salespeople and by their network of channel partners globally. And that's been a great relationship for us, hence why they are here. They're co-sponsoring with us, and you'll hear from Tim in a little bit to talk about these microservers, which are perfect for the edge, and you'll see more about that shortly. All right, I just labeled this. Let's have some fun. I wasn't here, but I understand at the Edge Field Day 1 event, if some of you were there was a lively debate about what is the edge, and I'm happy to continue that briefly. But I'll just start it by saying, when we think of the edge, we think of small sites. We think of wherever the data is being generated. We don't think of a telco edge where they have hundreds of servers. That's not our version of edge. Our version is small site in any vertical market where they've made the conscious decision where they can't use the cloud for everything. They need to run applications locally because the cloud is, you can pick your is it too expensive? Sometimes it's too slow due to latency and speed of light issues. The internet has a tendency to go down once in a while, and some customers just can't handle any kind of downtime. So they've made the decision, they've got to run applications at their site, and that's our definition of edge. If anyone wants to challenge that or throw another thought out there. All right, so everyone generally agrees.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you've nailed it, and I think every vendor's definition is slightly different just by nature of what they produce, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Being a storage company, naturally,
exactly,
we gravitate towards the way the data is being generated, and we still haven't stopped debating it. We again,
it'll go on.
So, yeah,
we need concept.
Yeah,
it's another one of those. It depends.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched some of the presentation from yesterday. I forgot the name of the storage company. They have storage for the edge, and their definition of edge is probably a little bit different than ours. But here we are talking about anywhere a customer needs to run a small number of apps just to run that one location. And these are the challenges that we see. And for time's sake, I won't walk through them. You can scan through it. But in general, when you've made that decision to run applications at the edge, now you have to worry about lots of things. If you have a lot of sites, how do you manage all of them? Downtime is always a conversation that we have because they typically cannot have any downtime. So that's something that we always talk to customers about. Cost, whether you have 1,000 sites, 10,000 sites, or even one, you can be an SMB with one site, cost is always an issue. If you can save $500, $1,000, $2,000 per site, it adds up. So cost is always a thing. Security at the edge is different than security in the data center because, as you know, data centers typically have raised floors, air conditioning, and badge access only. Whereas at the edge, these servers can be anywhere. They can be under a desk. They can be under the checkout counter. They can be in a weird place in a manufacturing plant. They can be in a mineral mine. Stuart and I were just talking about this, where they can disappear. They can be stolen. So physical security becomes a bigger issue. And we'll talk about what we do about that a little later. And then managing all of this. The last one on the right is about how do you manage all these locations and keep everything running because you don't have anyone on site to manage it. So these are generally the challenges that we see.
I have a question real
Yes.
quick. That stat that you have up there, 40% of all storage at the edge by 2025, do you think that's going to be true in a year?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, we're seeing it right now. I've got some other data that I can share. That stat is from Gartner.
Okay.
That is an analyst prediction. But we're definitely seeing more and more interest from customers about, particularly, let's say 3 years ago, they architected for cloud, and now they're thinking, you know what, our AWS bill's kind of high. Maybe we can re-architect this locally. So we're seeing more and more of data being created and stored at the edge than before, for sure.
And is that what's driving? Is it purely a price thing, like cost blowout in the cloud, that's driving that, or do you think there are other factors?
Yeah, I would say cost. Like if you're using the cloud, if you're an edge site and you're using the cloud, cost is probably the thing that jumps up as, ooh, maybe I should relook at this. When you're designing, you got to think about, that's where you think about performance and latency and reliability, because there are outages with the internet. It goes down occasionally. There's, even if it's for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, that's not a good thing for some of our customers.
And if I could add one thing to that, we're seeing a lot more where people are doing more at the edge now. So they're doing more data at the edge. They're doing more things at the edge. So customers may have a server that's at the edge that they're doing data on, and now they're going, okay, how do I get high availability out there? With our software, you don't have to have like-for-like hardware. So it gives them the advantage to be able to get into that high availability, to get the security they need without having to buy like-for-like hardware for every single one of their sites.
Gotcha.
And I don't want to turn this into an AI conversation because it seems like every other news article you read is about AI. But I'll just make one comment in that a lot of our customers are starting to think about it. How do we do more analytics at the edge? Instead of sending data from the edge to a cloud and doing the analytics in the cloud and sending the results the next day back to the edge, they're starting to architect real-time analytics at the edge. And to your point, that's a big driver of the data, is that they're starting to do more work at the edge. Okay, so any other questions about StorMagic as a company or background? I can jump right into product stuff, and I think I'm actually doing okay on time. Okay, so here's our product that Stuart's going to do the demo. I'm just eye candy for that. I'm just kind of warming up the crowd for Stuart. But yeah, so SvSAN, it's simply put, it's a virtual machine. We run as a VM. So customers would install an OVA, and Stuart will kind of show how this happens. But we support any of the major hypervisors, if you will. So it could be VMware, which is most of our business, Microsoft Hyper-V, or KVM. So whichever of those hypervisors a customer's using, they install a StorMagic VSA. Hopefully that term is familiar, virtual storage appliance, VSA. So they'll install a VSA. And what we do is we virtualize whatever storage they have inside the server, and we don't care what it is. Spinning disk, SSD, NVMe. We're very flexible and open as to what's inside that server. We virtualize it, and then we do a synchronous mirror between another server or two others, and I'll explain that in a second. But it's basically a 2-node cluster is what we do for high availability. And we make sure that we're not processing the next I/O from the application until we've confirmed that the last I/O's made it to the other side. So it's a true high availability system where if a server goes down, the surviving server absolutely has all of the data so that the virtual machine that we're running on the failed server would automatically move over. And Stuart's going to show you this live here in a little while. We'll automatically move over and just keep on running. So applications wouldn't see any downtime. We focus on edge and SMB. So I'd say our business is split between the two. We have a lot of customers that think of themselves as edge. We have some that are just small businesses that need 1 or 2 locations. but they have the same challenges. That slide I showed you about challenges, that applies across SMB or the edge. I think I covered most of that. Ping me with questions as we go through here. So how do we do this? So this is the high availability bit. So typically our customers are deploying 2 nodes, and that's what we do really well. We have a 3-node option, but most customers don't do it because we're talking about small sites and small budgets. So for the truly paranoid that want a 3rd server because they want to be able to take a server out of offline to do maintenance and still have a highly available cluster, we absolutely support that configuration. I'll say that maybe 5% of our customers do it that way, mostly because of cost. They don't want to spend the extra money on that 3rd server. We win a lot of business because of that 2-node architecture. So we compete against lots of folks in the industry. You probably can guess who they are. But typically they either require 3 nodes per site or they highly recommend it. And the reason is their clustering was designed for the data center, where you can scale endlessly, let's say. And what happens is every node is in the data path. So they're doing some kind of network RAID or erasure coding. Every write has to have an algorithm to go figure out where the other writes are going to go, and they have to calculate parity and all that kind of stuff. So their network is a lot more complicated than ours. So they're always in the data path. With our 2-node, we're doing a synchronous mirror between 2 nodes. We do need a 3rd node for arbitration for quorum, right? So a true HA system needs 3 nodes. We do have 3 nodes. Our 3rd node in this demo is going to be that Raspberry Pi. It can run on anything. So customers can run it in the cloud. They can run in their data center. It's just a little virtual machine. Put a slide on it. It's a little virtual machine that does the quorum for up to 1,000 clusters. So that's how it works. So that's how we're able to get we win a lot of business this way. Some of our largest customers choose us because they didn't have to put that 3rd server on site. Or some of our competitors have witnesses, but that witness is still in the data path. So they need a big fat network pipe between the edge and their data center. In our case, you can see down here, we just need a 9 kilobit per second connection because all we're doing is heartbeat. And we can withstand a 3,000 millisecond delay, right? Latency. So that's a pretty robust system. And that's why we have customers that are oil rigs, cruise ships. We were talking last night about a customer in Peru that uses us in mineral mines where there's not wired Ethernet, right? You're using satellite, you're using a cell phone, a 5G connection, and our witness can handle that, no problem. So our customers can either build it themselves, run it on a Raspberry Pi or in the cloud, or we also offer witness as a service. So it's a cloud offering. Some of our smaller customers just do that because it's easier for them.
On the previous slide, there was a line that said any storage, any hypervisor, and I guess any server. That's a very broad claim. I think you mentioned the hypervisors that it breaks down to, which was KVM, VMware, and Hyper-V.
Right.
What are sort of the bounds around the storage and the server class hardware? I assume you're expecting x86?
Yeah, okay. So the one click down from there is the 3 hypervisors I mentioned. And from a server perspective, we literally don't care what the model is, how old it is, the CPU, the memory, the disk drives. The only caveat is both servers need to be able to run the same version of the hypervisor, right? Because you're clustering 2 servers. So as long as the hypervisor can work on those 2 different platforms, we're good because we talk to the hypervisor is pretty much the answer there. Now, typically, if a customer wants to build a configuration with 8 SSD drives in one server and 2 spinning drives in the other, we'll coach them. That's probably not the best configuration because performance won't be balanced. So we'll work with them to make sure that performance is balanced across the 2. But the thing we hear from customers with our competitors' solutions, they typically need they need to be identical. They spend a lot of time making sure the drivers are the same, the PCI cards are the same, the CPUs have the same build. It's a complicated situation. That's why we've just made this really easy. We just say use whatever you want as long as the hypervisor works. We're good to go.
Okay, cool.
Okay, thanks for the questions. Anything else on the witness technology here? Okay. We've talked through this already, so I'm not going to spend time on it. This is just talking about flexibility of servers and hypervisors. Yeah, and I'll just say that this is just a kind of summary of how we save our customers money in terms of CapEx. So we're talking about some really big projects with, think of, thousands of sites. And if you're the CFO looking at the bids between vendors, a StorMagic bid will have thousands less servers to buy, install, manage, update, etc. So we wind up saving our customers a lot of money, not just on the 2 versus the 3 servers, but also on the network connectivity. They don't need 1 gigabit or 10 gigabit between the edge and the data center. So they can use much less networking, less memory, less number of servers. So this is how we save our customers a lot of money on CapEx. We talked about security as being a challenge at the edge, primarily physical security. What we do to help with that is encryption. So we have an encryption option built into our software. We're not using self-encrypted drives. We actually do the encryption ourselves. So as data is coming in from the virtual machines, we're encrypting before they make it to server 1's storage. And then when it makes the replication, the synchronous mirror, it's encrypted as well. So everything in our system can be encrypted if a customer chooses it. We're starting to see more and more doing this because of the security issues that we're talking about. We also support the KMIP protocol, which allows a customer to use any key manager that they might have, but we offer our own as well. So we have a product called SvKMS, which is an enterprise key manager that many of our customers that use our encryption also go with our key manager. Let's talk about scaling, because this is a little bit different from other HCI solutions you might be familiar with. So the way we scale capacity, I mean, that one's easy. A customer would just add more drives into their servers, and we would be able to take advantage of those. They can connect to an external JBOD if there's no physical room left in the server. So scaling up for capacity is within the server, whatever the server can handle. We're totally fine with that. But scaling out for compute, remember I told you that most of our customers are 2-node solution. That's for the storage. So we have a highly available 2-node storage solution that they can run applications on for HCI. But if they need more compute nodes, they can absolutely do that. So they can add any number of compute nodes to the system. We would just look like an iSCSI target. So you don't need SvSAN licensing for that. You probably need to license, or you don't have to, but if you want to expand your hypervisor cluster, like your VMware cluster, you'd need to license the hypervisor out there, but you can attach any server. It doesn't even need to be virtualized. You can attach a server. We can just serve up storage to anything in their network. So we have a lot of customers that think it's different from what they're used to hearing from our competitors, but it works really well because now they have a highly available cluster and they can add as many compute nodes as they need to do as much work as they have to. Okay, so that's our scalability. I threw this in here just so you can get a feel for price. Notice I didn't talk about how low cost our software is because the main advantage for customers using our product is the reduction in OpEx for the simplicity, the flexibility, and the lowered CapEx. Those are the main benefits, but our list price per node is about $1,500. So it's a very low cost solution. We have customers that are looking at, how do I build my edge solution? And if they're not careful, if their IT team says, well, we use vSAN in the data center, let's go deploy it at the edge, they can start looking at solutions that are $40,000, $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 per site. And we come in with our solution with the hypervisor and 2 servers. You can deploy a functional system for under $10,000 per node. Per site, right? So 2 servers, our software clustered, 3-year maintenance, the whole thing under 10 grand. So when customers see that, they're like, well, why would I spend all this? I'm spending 10 grand a month with my cloud provider. Just making a stupid example there, right?
So with this price, is that going to be a KVM hypervisor?
Correct. So
and
that
not VMware?
the example I gave for the 10,000 assumes that they either have an enterprise license with VMware, so they're not paying extra for the hypervisor, or they're using a KVM, right?
Okay.
So hardware, our software, including maintenance and support for 3 years, under 10 grand.
And they always have to bring their VMware license to this setup?
They can bring their VMware license, Hyper-V license, KVM, whatever hypervisor they're using, we support it. And then while I'm on that thread, when they make an investment in StorMagic, that license can be used in any of those hypervisors. So in this day and age, another topic we don't have time to get into, but with the whole Broadcom acquisition of VMware, we're starting to hear more chatter about maybe there's another hypervisor out there that I can use. If they invest in StorMagic on VMware, and a year from now they want to move to Hyper-V, they take that license with them. They don't have to purchase a new one from us. So we have a good investment protection story for our customers there.
So let's say they bought the box, they don't have any investment in hypervisors, it's totally greenfield.
Right.
Do you have an option for a default, we'll load it up on KVM as a bare metal install?
Yeah, so we have a KVM offering that customers can download a package from us where everything they need is delivered to them. It's on Ubuntu. So as long as they're good with Ubuntu, yes. So we have a KVM package that they can use. The devil's in the details there, as you probably know. KVM isn't as easy to manage as a Hyper-V or VMware, but as long as they're Linux technically capable of command line and getting it up and running, we have what they need, and we can help them as well.
Or if they're just looking to have the storage and not wanting to care about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. More questions?
So yeah, I have a question based on that answer. So when let's say they sign up and they want VMware, how does the box get delivered to them? So what is on the box when it's delivered?
Yeah, good question. So we're a software company, so we sell software. The way a customer procures from us is through the channel. So most of the time it's through one of our OEM partners, HPE, Lenovo, or through one of our VARs. And the VAR or the integrator is typically the one that's, for the smaller customers, they're building the solution for them. So they're going to buy the servers, they'll load our software. They can get it from HPE if that's where they're buying it from. Larger customers, the thousands of site ones, typically do it themselves. They'll buy the hardware and they'll buy our software to do it themselves. Does that help answer your question?
Yep.
Or a lot of the vendors, I know Lenovo and HPE will also ship their servers with VMware already pre-installed.
Right. Thank you.
Just to summarize StorMagic, these are our key value props here. Is super simple and flexible, like we talked about today. HA and that 2-node high availability is really important in terms of reliability. And there's your 2-node cluster for under $10,000. So any last questions for me before we get, I'm going to have Tim from HPE kind of go through the microserver setup here.
How does the licensing scale? I noticed it was for the 1541, it was obviously like a 2
Two
TB license.
terabyte.
What chunks do they come in, and
Yeah.
also a subscription piece?
Okay, so yeah, so the chunks that we sell in today, we're only based on usable capacity. So 2 terabytes is our lowest chunk, if you will. So a 2, 6 terabyte, 12 terabyte, and then unlimited. So there's just 4 tiers for our software. We offer gold and platinum support, and those are basically options. I think I didn't talk about it, but we have on the right-hand side $600 per node for encryption. To add encryption, we have storage caching. They can do that witness as a service. It's an annual fee for cloud. And there's a starting price for our key manager as well.
Right.
So you export only as iSCSI?
We export, yeah, we look like an iSCSI target, correct.